My name is Jim Green, and I'm the owner of a gun shop in Harrington, Maine, called Gunworks. I'm a gunsmith. The last video we discussed how to cast bullets from scrap wheel weights and how to size them. Today we're going to actually load some of that ammo. I'm going to show you how to do it on a single stage press, and then we're going to take it out back. We're going to shoot a magazine full of them. Now, for clarity purposes, I'm going to load today 45 ACP. There's been a lot of folks that's been wanting to get into reloading, and I'm getting emails left and right. Well, how much does it cost to get into reloading? So what we're going to use today is absolutely the bottom dollar, cheapest setup that we could possibly use. It's a company called Lee Precision. So what we're going to use today is a Lee Precision O-type press, and we're going to set up the dies, and we're going to load 7 rounds of 45 ACP cast bullet. First thing you want to do is once you have your press set up, you'll take one of your shell holders that'll fit one of the 45 ACP empty cartridges. You'll snap that into your press. This is how you'll snap your shell holder in. Raise the ram slightly, push it sideways till it clicks and locks in. Then to put your first die in, which is your sizing die, we'll take one of these nice little RCBS carbide dies. Go ahead and lower the handle and raise the ram all the way up, and just turn the die into the top until it touches the shell holder. Then set your lock ring. And we're ready. Now, for non-carbide dies, or for bottleneck cartridges like rifles, you'll need to use case lubricant. Since we're doing straight wall pistol cartridges today, you don't need any case lubricant. So what you'll do is you'll take your polished and emptied fired case, slide it in, pull down on the handle and raise the ram all the way up until it stops. What that's going to do is knock your old primer out and resize the case. Now, the second step you're going to take, you're going to put the second die in the 3-die set in, and you're going to screw that down. What this second die is going to do is slightly bell the case mouth. What you want to do is bell the case mouth just enough to get the projectile started. This will take a little bit of fiddling. There we go, we're set. Now I'll show you here real quick. Once your second stage die is set up, I'm not sure how well you can see it on your video there, but you slightly belled the case mouth so you can start one of your projectiles. And we're going to do all 7 of them. Now for the next step, you're going to want to put new primers back into the sized and de-primed and belled cases. Now what I do is I use a load data book. I've got several different ones. I just happened to grab the latest Lyman 49th edition off. We'll turn to the page for the 45 ACP. This is going to tell you what your bullet weight is going to be and what kind of powder and what kind of primers you're going to need. So we're going to flip over here to this other page. What I've got are Winchester primers. Remington makes primers, or several companies other than Winchester. I just happen to have Winchester today. We're going to put the primers in with one of these Lee Auto Prime hand tools. Like I said, we're going to stick with the inexpensive stuff today. This is to get you basically started. This is set up right now with a shell holder. We're going to put some of the primers inside here, and we're going to put them in the cases. Since we're loading a single magazine for 1911, we want 7 primers. Now, the thing to keep in mind is you do not, under any circumstances, want to touch these primers with your fingers if you can avoid it. Reason being is if you got a little sweat or finger roll on your hands, then you neutralize the primer and then your rounds don't function. Okay, we're going to put 7 primers in. And you'll notice how some of them are turned up and some of them are turned down. What you want to do is place that, the butt of the primer tool down against something and just gently shake it until all the primers flip up. you'll see little ridges inside. That turns the primers in the right position. We'll place the cover back on and lock it in place. Then we'll start priming. We'll tilt it where the primer will drop into the hole. You take one of your cases and slide it in. Now you want to turn this away from your face in case you have a primer that pops. You don't want to get anything in your eyes. Then you just simply squeeze it and seat the primer. Now you take your cases and you'll flip them over and you'll run your finger across the bottom like this. You want to feel and make sure the primer is seated below the outside of the case head itself. And we're going to prime all 7 of them. Now, another thing about loading bullets is a lot of people say, well, you have to measure the number of grains that goes in to each case. Well, yes and no. In this case, since we're sticking with something inexpensive to get you introduced to beginning reloading or loading your own ammunition, we're going to use the Lee powder measure kit. Now, these are just a series of small yellow plastic scoops, and there's a slide chart in here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to measure the powder out by volume. Instead of using a powder scale or a powder measure, we're going to measure each one of these cartridges by volume. Now, if you look, I've got a cast bullet handbook, also by Lyman. What this is going to do is this is going to cover cast bullets specifically. But you'll also notice in the Lyman 49th, in addition to regular jacketed projectiles, there's also a cast bullet reloading section in here as well. What I'm going to use today is a type of gunpowder I just happen to have on hand. There's an entire chart with recommended starting grains and recommended maximum grains. One thing you don't want to do as a beginning reloader is start wildcatting. You don't want to say, hey, let's push this bullet a little bit faster and put a little bit more powder in it. You start doing things like that, it gets a little on the dangerous side. You definitely want to stick with whatever data is published in the load book. So in this case, since we're going to use red dot, because that's just what I happen to have, you'll look in the book and it'll tell you your maximum charge for red dot is going to be 5.3 grains. You take your sliding scale out, you'll slide it to where it says, okay, red dot. Right here we see that scoop number 0.7 is going to give us exactly 5 grains. It's going to be just a little bit under maximum, which is kind of what I like to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and measure by volume the gunpowder that goes in each one of these casings. So let's get started with that. You'll see here I've got a can of red dot. What I like to do is use a non-sparking aluminum or even a small brass bowl of some kind to hold the gunpowder. Same thing with my powder funnel. So we're going to go ahead and pour us out a little bit of gunpowder here. In each one of our cases, we're going to charge with the gunpowder we need. You just take your scoop up your gunpowder. You take the top of your finger and just very carefully flake off until it's even. And simply dump it into the case. Now the reason you want to use non-sparking aluminum or even plastic is, well, if you use plastic there's possible of static electricity, but with the non-sparking aluminum you don't get any stray static sparks that can ignite your gunpowder on the bench. Now we have all the cases are now charged with powder. You can look down inside. Always do a visual inspection to make sure that every one of them look exactly the same. Next thing you want to do is all your loose powder you have left, you want to put it right back in to the container and seal it up. Now, when you're doing this, sometimes you get in a little bit of a hurry and you might spill a little bit of gunpowder. The first reaction is to grab a small vacuum cleaner and vacuum that up. I'm going to recommend against that. Reason being is because your little vacuum cleaner could possibly cause the powder to spark. You don't want to end up with a fire. So if you spill a little bit of powder, don't panic. It's not a big deal. What you'll do is take a damp cloth, moistened with water, and clean it up with that. Now we're going to move on to actually seating the projectiles in the brass. Thank you for watching this latest Gunworks video. Down East Gunworks is a full-service firearm repair service for all your long guns and handguns that includes a high-tech machine shop for tooling obsolete parts. Old or new, if you have a firearm that needs attention, Gunworks can probably fix it, solve it, coat it, and make it work. If you're living in Down East Maine, come by the shop for a visit. We're located on Route 1 in Harrington. If you live elsewhere, you can reach us by going to the website www.downeastgunworks.com or call in the shop at area code 207-483-2175. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please leave me a comment and rate the video. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll always know when I've posted something new. And thanks again for watching.